Okay, so today we're working on a 2000 Toyota Camry. As you can see, there's a whole bunch of water leaking. Looks like the gasket on the back of the housing is leaking, so I have to take off everything here, alternator and the mounts over here, just to get a clear view, because I may have to change the water pump and the actual water pump housing. There's a gasket in the back of it, so since this housing is not cracked, I just have to get all the gaskets that goes underneath it, but I have to take off everything first before I could figure out exactly what's going on. So the first thing to do is actually bleed out the coolant, which is already on the ground. So I'm going to start bleeding out more. I'm going to get the bucket, empty everything out, take the electronic system off, and then jack the car up, take the wheel off, and start working into this side. So basically, this is how to change your water pump on this car. Okay, so far, I just disconnect all the connectors that connects to the alternator. This one is a 10, this is a 12, that is a 12, and this bolt is a 14. Once you're loosening this one and this, you push the alternator down in order to get the belt off. Give a little bit of wiggle room. Once you get that out, you just got to remove this bolt and this one, and then we could focus more on this area behind here. So far we removed the alternator, and I'm just working my way down to this area underneath here. That's the crossover tool for the coolant pipe. And I'm trying to take off this bracket. This is what holds the dog mount right here. So I'm trying to take this off because I will be needing that when I get in order to take all this out so I could actually inspect it. I believe it should be a 14 down here somewhere. It's kind of a pain to get to, but once you fish around, you should be able to reach it. So we kind of jumped a few steps. Just show you a quick catch up of what I did. We took off the mount that was right here, took out the alternator, we took off the covering for the timing belt, and we also took off the crank pulley. It has a lot of oil leak going on, and also the coolant is leaking. So the power steering pump is also bad. So basically this car needs a lot of work. Okay, so now we're gonna start on the timing belt side today. First thing we're gonna do is we're gonna set this timing belt setup at top dead center, so this way we could take off the belt, the tensioner, and so everything lined up in the correct orientation. So right here you have to get this top part of the crank. There's a mark on the actual pump that I'll show you. Okay, I'm not sure how well this is coming across, but there's a mark right here in that hole. You should be able to see it on this cover in the back. Once that's lined up, then this is lined up, and then that's top dead center for this engine. Once everything is in top dead center, then you will work on loosening the tensioner. This one is a 14. Once you loosen that, you should be able to slacken everything up and take the belt off. Now I can move, so now I can just slide it off. Okay, so right now, since I'm going to take off the oil pump to also change the seals, I have to drop the oil pan. So in order to do that, I'm taking off this bracket right here. It's 3 bolts, they're 14 millimeters, and they cover the pan. It's like a little support brace. Okay, this is the bracket I was talking about, and as you can probably see, the exhaust has been modified a few times, so yeah, that's gonna be a little issue. So I have to figure out a way to wiggle it through. As usual, those are rusted up top, so I'm going to have to play with those to see if I can get them out. But once you take that bracket off, it's held in by 3 14s, and there's this little bracket right here held in by 2 12 millimeter. Once you get that out the way, you can actually get to the bolts for the oil pan up there. I'm not sure how well it's coming off, but the oil pan bolts are covered in by this little sponge, but yeah, it's no good anymore. So to take that down, this comes out. This is the inspection plate, and this is what the sponge was hooked onto. So now that they're done, I could see the bolts, and I could start taking them off around the perimeter, because I have to, like I stated, I'm changing the oil pan gasket and also the oil pump gasket, so I have to take the pan down. So everything we took out, now we're just cleaning the surface so we can reinstall the oil pump gaskets.
Yan na bigas ko dyan sa one. You'll learn something.
So as you can see, we took off the oil pump, we're cleaning the surface. Now I'm going to work on taking off this section. This will be the oil pump housing. This is the oil pump, this is the rear housing. And I think I might have to get the thermostat just to be safe, because these are the seals that's leaking, and there's one that goes to black. That one's also leaking, so I have to change those. So these are held in place by a few tens. Here. And then just gotta move this whole crossover tube out, and then I should be able to get the whole unit out. So this is the water pump. It came off. You just gotta take out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 millimeters that go around the perimeter. So there's this O-ring right here you have to change. This gasket here have to be changed, and you have to take off this 12 in order to move the pipe back. So now that's done, just have to clean the surface, get a new gasket, and then start reassembling all the new parts. This is your water pump. This is the one with the housing, and I always buy the Asian brand because I've always had good luck with them, so that's what I stick to, and that's what I always recommend. So these are the gasket for the rear, just have to install them, and this is where the thermostat will go. So I'll be getting a new one for that possibly tomorrow, and then so right now the plan is just install the pump and then just go ahead and start proceeding to reinstall everything else. So putting on the tensioner pulley. Okay, so this is the balance shaft. So right now we just change the seal. This is normal righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. Just take it off, pop that seal out by hand, and then just tighten it back up. So this goes onto the oil pump like this. There's a gasket that goes around it, and there's also another section that goes in it, so I have to find that part. Where did I put it? Oh. So this is the gear that you need to go inside. This arrow has mark line up with this one right here, but still got maybe have to put the seal around it. So I'm just gonna clean out in here, and then I'm just gonna put a little the O-ring, and then I'm put a little silicone, and then just bolt everything back up. So there it is. This is pump assembled. This I'm putting the main seal. It's just this one bolt that holds everything together, and then once we put it on the actual engine, then we just start putting on the other bolts. Right now I'm just gonna finish cleaning that up, and then I'm gonna slap it on and then start putting everything back together. So just my luck, things never go as planned. The water pump was not leaking. It was actually the freeze plug, which is behind the water pump. So I just installed it, and I just gonna put a new one in. Put it like that, hit it in, and then you should be fine. So that's the water pump. I'm putting it back on. Generally you don't have to do this. I just put a little gasket maker on it on the O-ring just to be safe, because I just like to be extra careful, because this is a pain if it starts to leak from there. So I just put a little extra. So now we just basically line it up and just start bolting it back in. It's held in place by 4 tens, I believe. The pump, just want to give you guys a little bit of advice. This one is the long bolt, and this one's the long bolt. This is the timing sprocket. See if we can get you a good angle of what I'm trying to show you. Okay, right here in that section. I know my hands are dirty, but that's that line. That's what you're looking for when you're timing, when you're setting the timing to top that center. This has to be lined up with a mark that is on the oil pump. Show you that mark. That mark will be right here. It's like a little protrusion right here in this little bump. So that's how you know everything's at top of that center. So now we're starting to put back on the pickup tube. This is it. It's held in by, I believe that's a 12 and 2 10s right there. That's the old gasket. So I already have the new one in place, so just gotta put this on, bolt it up, and then just tighten everything up, and then I should be able to start cleaning out the pan, do the timing belt, put the timing belt on, and then once that's done, try to start the car. So there's the pickup tube. It's held in by two 10s, one here, and this is a 10. I said it was a 12 before. It's a 10 millimeter. Okay, so it's the next day. We have the oil pan gasket, thermostat. I just got all the new parts right here. They have the oil, the coolant, brake fluid, because I'm changing the master cylinder also. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start cleaning off the pan, then put everything up, then I'm gonna start doing the timing belt. So here's the oil pan, it's all cleaned up, and this is the gasket. So now that I have everything, I'm gonna start reinstalling this whole. So right now we're gonna be starting on the thermostat and also putting on a timing belt. Forget about the noise. I have the kids in the back playing in the pool. Loud. Okay, so as you can see, we're just starting to put on the timing belt. This is the diagram that came with it. So basically, we're just running from the bottom. I'm starting here, going over this way, going up here, keep everything a little bit tight, then go back down to the bottom and put it over the tensioner. Okay, so the timing belt is on. It's a little bit of pain, to be honest, but generally I just normally wrap everything around here, hold this side, come up here, and then run around here, and then just slide it over the tensioner. So now it's basically good. I'm gonna set this straight, push it down, tighten this up, and then I'm gonna just put the oil in and just crank it out to make sure it runs, and then I'll start putting the thermostat in and start putting everything else back together. Okay, went back around 1/4 revolution and everything is lined up, so we're good. I'm gonna try one more time, and if it's good, I'm just gonna start the car up. So the timing belt was on. We're just gonna initially start it up to make sure everything runs smooth. Finally fixed the leak. It was in the back. It was a freeze plug that was bad, so we changed that. And go ahead, start it. Okay, timing belt works. Everything's good. Alright. So everything's good. Should be fine. Just gonna put the covers back on, then we can actually run it and let it heat up. I didn't want to run it too long because there's nothing holding the belt on. So I might have to put a crankshaft pulley on just to do that. So everything's on. Crankshaft, timing cover. I left it a little bit messy because I still have to come back here to change the power steering pump. So I'm probably gonna change it next week, and then I'm just gonna power wash the whole area clean. The belts on the covers, and with this started, everything runs fine, no problem. But like I said, the power steering pump is leaking, so I have to change that possibly next week. So yeah, that's it. So everything went smoothly. I'm gonna start it up to get it running. Just gotta put the last mount in right here, the dog bone and the bracket.
I live inside my own world of make-believe.